Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you are settling into a comfy spot for these notes today. For the notes, you're going to need 4 of the graphs, a glue stick, and your ruler. The title of today's lesson is Unit 1, Lesson 4, Graphing Lines in Standard Form. Let's get started. Thank you. The standard form of a linear equation is, I'm going to break out some different colors here, ax plus by, oh, come on, focus, okay, by is equal to c, where a and b are not 0. Is my door unlocked? Alrighty, so method number 1. And it's going to be solving for y. And we put it in y equals mx plus b form. So we saw this at the end of our lesson last time. So this is something that we've already done before. So if this is the method you want to choose, that is perfectly fine. So we have negative 2x plus 3y is equal to a negative 6. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is solve this equation for y. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add 2x to both sides. And I'm going to be left with 3y is equal to a negative 6 plus 2x. And the last step is to divide everything by 3. So y is completely by itself. Negative 6 divided by 3 is a negative 2. And then I'm left with 2/3 x. Just like we did last week with slope-intercept form, we identified that our slope was a positive 2/3, which means I'm going to go up 2 to the right 3. And then my y-intercept is going to be negative 2, so my first point is going to be at 0, negative 2. Hopefully a lot of this is review for you. If not, you're getting another look at it. So we'll plot our first point at 0, negative 2, and then from this point we'll go up 1, 2, to the right 1, 2, 3. Up 2, to the right 3. Once I have my 3 points, I can, oh, that is to the right 2. Let me go over one more. So you're going to be like, that's not going to make a line. Draw a line through your points, and you're finished. So if it's in standard form, first method we could do is solving for y. The next method, method number 2, is going to be solving for the x-intercepts. So you solve for the x and y intercepts. Our equation that we're going to do for this one is graph x plus 3y equals negative 3. So when we solve for our intercepts, what we are doing, oh, it would help if I push that up, right? All right, there we go. Now that we can see it, we're plugging in for 0 to x and y respectively. So when we're solving for x, we're going to plug in 0 for y. So it's going to look like this. X plus 3 times 0 is equal to a negative 3. So we're finding out when y is equal to 0, what is x equal to? 3 times 0 is 0, so x is going to be equal to a negative 3. So I'm going to have an ordered pair at negative 3, 0. When I'm solving for y, I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So I'm going to have 0 plus 3 times y is equal to a negative 3. 3y is equal to a negative 3. I'll divide both sides by 3 and get y is equal to a negative 1. So I'm going to have a point at 0, negative 1. With these two intercepts, what I'm going to do is plot these 2 points and draw a line connecting them. So I have 0, -1, then -3, 0. I went down 1 to the right 3. I can go down 1 to the right 3 again to make my third point and draw my line through the points. So you have two methods there. I'm just going to write a little note here, plot the ordered pairs. Okay, so I have 3 points there. I have two methods. You guys can choose whichever one works best for you, but this is really nice and quick and nice little quick solve for problems that are set up in standard form. All right, let's do another example practicing that method, and then we're going to finish up with a word problem. Alrighty, example number, we'll just call this example number 1. We're going to graph 3x minus 4y is equal to a -12. So I'm going to solve for my x-intercepts and y-intercepts here. So I have 3x minus 4 times 0 is equal to a -12. So I'm going to have 3x is equal to a -12. I'll divide both sides by 3, and x is going to be equal to a -4. So I have -4, 0 for my first point. Again, I plug 0 in for y, and I solved for x. Now I need to do it with the other way. I'm going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So 3 times 0 is 0. I'm left with -4y is equal to a -12. I'm going to divide both sides by a -4, and I get y is equal to a +3. So I'm going to have a point at 0, 3. I'm going to plot those points here. 0, 4, 0, 3. I went up 3 to the right 4, up 3 to the right 4. There's my 3 points. And I'm just using my slope to come up with my third point there. And that's graphing your line with intercepts. Alrighty, now let's copy down this word problem. I'm going to pause it, write it real quick, and then bring it back up. Okay, quick little exchange. Feel free to pause the video right now, and because I want you to copy this whole word problem down on your notebooks. It's not that long, but just pause it really quick. Or if you want to follow along while I'm reading it, that's fine too. So the word problem here is you have $6 to spend on apples and bananas. Apples are $1.50 per pound. Bananas are 60 cents per pound. Write an equation in standard form to describe this situation, and then we're going to graph the equation, and the biggest piece here is interpreting those intercepts. So, for part A, I'm going to identify my variables. So x is going to be apples, and y is going to be bananas. Okay, now it's $1.50 per apple, so I'm going to use that to write my equation. So $1.50 per apple, per pound of apples, plus it's going to be 60 cents per pound of bananas. And that needs to be set equal to the total amount of money that I have, which is $6. And that's it to writing the equation in standard form. It's actually really nice. So then, to graph, what I'm going to do for part B is I'm going to graph using the intercepts, the new thing that we did today. So it's going to be graph. I'm going to find the intercepts. So I'm plugging in 0. So the first one is I'm going to have 1.5 times x plus 60 cents times 0 is equal to $6. So I have 150x equals 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 150. 6 divided by 150 is 4. Alrighty, so if we were to so what this means and what it means with interpreting the intercepts if I want to buy just apples, the maximum that I can buy is 4. So I'm going to write that down. So the max number of apples you can buy is 4. Alrighty, now let's find out what the max number of bananas I can buy. So I'm going to put 0 in for x, and I'm going to solve for y. 0 times 150 is 0, so I'm left with my 60 cents per pound times y is equal to 6. I then divide both sides, and y is going to be equal to 6 divided by 6/10, which is going to be 10. So the max number of bananas that I can buy is 10. That says number. Is 10. Alrighty. So now that we're interpreting the intercepts, so this one here is going to be 4, 0. That's going to be our x, and then 10, 0 is going to be our y, respectively. So looking at my graph, I unfortunately need to change the scale. So I'm going to go up by 2's, and I'm going to keep my y-intercepts or my x values as 1's. So I change that going up by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So when y is equal to 10, I'm going to put a point. And then when x is equal to 4, I'm going to put a point. And then I'm going to draw a line through the 2 points, or connecting the 2 points, because does it make sense to have a negative amount of apples? No. Okay? So everything's going to stay in that first quadrant because everything is positive there. Okay? So going back over our word problem again, we wrote the equation, we graphed the equation, and interpreted the intercepts. So in that case, we are finished. This one can be a little complicated when we're working with word problems, so feel free to take a pause, read through it again. If you have questions, write them off to the side or include them in the Google form, and then that is going to be it. So graphing in standard form, that's it in a nutshell. See you tomorrow.